If you're researching moving and relocating here to Gilbert, Arizona, a question that you're gonna have and that we get all the time is, what does it actually cost to live in Gilbert, Arizona? We're gonna get into that right now. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is David Van Asche with the Living in Phoenix team. And if this is your first time to this channel and you want to learn everything about what it's like to work, eat, sleep, live, and play here in Gilbert and the greater Phoenix area, make sure you click that subscribe button and tap the bell to get notified every time we put out a new video. And honestly, we get so many phone calls, emails, and text messages every single day from people looking to move and relocate here. We absolutely love it. So if you are even thinking about moving or relocating here to Gilbert, Arizona, seriously, just pick up the phone, shoot us an email, send us a text message, days, nights, weekends. We've got your back when moving here to Gilbert, Arizona. All right, guys, so number one, first and foremost, if you're planning on moving or relocating here to Gilbert, Arizona, housing is going to be the number one concern. Now, if you're reading older blogs or older pieces of news about the affordability of Gilbert, well, the reality is for a lot of people, that is old news. Gilbert and Chandler, which is next door, and even down to Queen Creek, have quickly become some of the most desirable areas to live in the entire Phoenix metro. And with that, with all the new construction and the beautiful neighborhoods and everything else that's been going along with that, prices are definitely higher, and in many cases even higher than Scottsdale in a lot of areas. So you're going to want to be able to do your research and find out, what exactly does it cost to buy a home? What's a mortgage going to look like? Can I afford Gilbert? I mean, Gilbert, of course, is one of the nicest, most beautiful, low crime, high amenities, tons of things to do areas here in the Phoenix Valley, but you're going to want to make sure that you have your finances in order and that Gilbert is a place that you're going to actually want to be able to not only afford a home, but afford to be able to play and live and do all the other great things that Gilbert brings with it. So when you're comparing Gilbert to the entire Phoenix metro, which is basically 17 major cities and towns, there's actually a lot more than that. We're talking 20, 23, 25. I have to get the map out and actually count them, but there's basically 17 major cities and towns in the Phoenix area that we track specifically. Gilbert is going to cost on average about 20% more than the Phoenix metro average. Now that basically means that, you know, a quote unquote typical family home, whatever that means to you, if you're comparing Gilbert to the Phoenix metro average, yeah, you're gonna be about 20% more for purchase costs, you know, or upkeep, things like that. So you definitely want to find out, you know, where that is. Online, you're gonna find a lot of mortgage calculators, you know, estimates, things like that. One thing to keep in mind is each different city, each different area might have different local taxes. Certain HOAs are gonna be higher or lower than others. And I know a lot of people watching this from out of state are gonna be like, an HOA, really? Yes, but HOAs are huge here. They're super common. Some are way more strict than others. The way I look at it, I live in a neighborhood with an HOA. My HOA specifically does not have a ton of amenities. We don't have a community pool. We don't have a lot of those things. It's very low cost though per month. So they have a light touch. They want to make sure that the front yards and trash cans and just general appearance of things are maintained to a certain minimal level, just so that the neighborhood doesn't get out of control. We've all seen those neighborhoods that you drive into that don't have HOAs, and you got weeds growing everywhere. It quickly turns into a disaster. So take it or leave it. You know, HOAs aren't for everybody, and there are neighborhoods without them, but more often than not, especially with the nicer homes and nicer neighborhoods, you better count on there being an HOA. Now, as far as an affordability perspective, if you're researching actually moving here and you want to know what's my actual mortgage payment going to look like, well, of course, it's going to depend on how much of a down payment are you coming into the house with, what's the purchase price of the home, what are the property taxes look like, what are the HOA fees, you know, what other kinds of fees might apply to a particular area, are there any special assessments, things like that. Now, the easiest and best way to do that, don't ask a real estate agent. The reality is you're going to want to talk to a local mortgage professional, somebody who actually sells homes and originates loans on a regular basis here in Gilbert. And I can think of nobody better than Isaiah Slutter. He's with our team. You're going to want to talk to a local mortgage professional who does loans in Gilbert for a variety of homes in a variety of neighborhoods on a regular basis. So they're going gonna have that firsthand experience with different nuances of what the costs are gonna be like. And the easiest way to do that is just to give us a call, shoot us an email, send a text message. We will connect you with the absolute best lender for a particular area that you might be researching. That way they can have a discussion with you, discuss your finances, talk about, especially if you're moving here from out of state, what's your old house gonna sell for? What are the net proceeds coming in going to be? How much do you actually need for a down payment? Are there special loan programs available to meet your situation? Are you looking for more of a lower interest rate or a lower monthly payment? Or, there's a lot of variables that go into deciding how to finance a home. You're gonna wanna get a hold of us. Like I said, give us a call, shoot us an email, send a text message. We'll connect you with somebody who can answer those questions well in advance of you even moving here. That way, you'll know exactly where you stand, how much you can afford or want to afford or want to spend. I mean, maybe you can afford $2 million, but that's not what we're talking about, so maybe an $800,000 home would be more appropriate. It depends on what you're looking for, and it's really important that, we have that discussion and talk through exactly what it is that you're wanting to do. All right, so next up, utility costs. We're talking internet, water, sewer, garbage, that kind of thing. Me personally, I use Cox. There's a couple of major internet providers here in Gilbert. My internet connection, I pay for, the fastest plan with limited amount of data. I think 1.5 terabytes. I've never hit it. I think we're averaging 600 to 800 gigabytes a month, and that includes a ton of YouTube and Netflix streaming, things like that. My monthly internet bill, about $130. So that's kind of what you could expect. I think that's pretty on par with a lot of areas in the country. If you're coming from an area where it's less, if you're gonna want the high speed, faster internet connection, just call it $100 to $130 a month is probably gonna be where you're at. All right, your electricity bill, depending on where you're at, you're probably gonna be with SRP or what's called Salt River Project here in Gilbert. Electricity rates kind of vary throughout the year. The good thing about SRP is they have a lot of programs to help make an electric bill more manageable. They have programs for solar. They have programs where you get discounted electricity outside of peak hours, so you can pre-cool, especially in the summer, you can pre-cool your house before, let's say, 3 p.m. and then from 3 to 6 p.m. you stop using as much electricity as possible, which is during the peak hours. And then overall, they'll give you a better rate on the outside hours. Of course, it's a higher rate during those peak hours, but if you manage your electricity correctly and you use, the right kind of thermostat, that can drastically cut your electric bill. Just to give you an idea of what a house might look like, my home is large. I use a way higher than average amount of electricity. We have a large pool with 3 different pumps. We have, a 2-story home with 2 air conditioning units. We have young children, so we definitely keep our home cooler in the summer months than average. Just kind of give you a ballpark throughout the year, which I do an average billing cycle. So we pay, in the winter months, we don't use as much, but we do pay a higher amount. In the summer, we use more electricity. We pay a lesser amount. It averages out our bill throughout the year. I think we're averaging around $300, $350 a month. That is going to be higher than average. Like I said, that's for a 2,700 square foot home that consumes a lot more electricity than usual, especially with a family, lots of laundry and dishes and cooking and all the things that go along with that. Now, if you're just looking for, a much smaller, starter home, some people's electric bills are as low as 80 or 120 bucks a month. It really depends on the kind of lifestyle you're looking to live. If you're thinking about, moving here to Gilbert and you have a kind of an idea of the kind of home that you want to live in, the size-wise, things like that, we'd be happy to introduce you to some of our past clients or ask them for a copy of their recent bills so you can see what those types of homes specific to what you're looking for actually look like. Again, give us a call, shoot us an email, send a text message, just reach out. I know I'm talking to you on YouTube right now, but I swear we are real people. We really help people every day and every week find and purchase homes and move. We answer all kinds of questions all the time. So pick up the phone and give us a call. All right, transportation costs. Some people do use public transport, but the reality is in Gilbert, we're talking 95, 98+% of the people who live in Gilbert definitely have their own car or cars, and that's definitely a way of life. You can't really get around here without it. So if you're coming from a larger urban city environment where, you can use the bus or the subway or trains or things like that, that's definitely not really a thing here. They do have a light rail up north that goes through Mesa. It'll take you up to the airport in downtown Phoenix. They have, buses and things like that, but the vast majority of the public definitely uses cars every day. As far as cost of living with the cars, obviously the kind of car you have depends on you, your budget, and what you want. You can do your own research on, what it looks like. Definitely you're going to want to have your air conditioner serviced every year to make sure that it's running efficiently, because it is hot here for most of the year, especially those summer months. You're talking, May, June, July, August, even going into September. 5-6 months of the year, you're absolutely going to have the air conditioning on. As you get closer to the other months, more optional. It kind of depends on how that particular day is, especially in those winter months. You may or may not need it. And as far as transportation costs are concerned, concerned, yes, we do have higher than average gasoline costs. We have higher than average taxes. But living here in Arizona for quite a few years now, I can tell you firsthand, especially traveling around the US, and I've been in 43 of our 50 states, we have some of the best roads in the entire country, especially here in the Phoenix metro. I mean, if you go out in some of the rural areas of northern Arizona or southern Arizona, other areas, yeah, the roads might get a little bit rougher like you'd expect in a lot of more rural populated areas. But for a metropolitan area with urban sprawl and all the roads that we have here throughout the Phoenix metro, you're gonna find that the roads here are top notch when compared to other parts of the country. So as of this recording in May, June of 2023, gas was at $5.20 some odd cents a gallon, I think, average. And so where I moved from originally in North Dakota, I think it's $3 and some change. So yeah, your cost per gallon is gonna be significantly higher here than a lot of places in the country. If you're coming from California or maybe Washington State, maybe it's at par, maybe it's actually less. You have to check that out for yourself. But just give you an idea of what your driving costs are gonna look like. Yeah, you're gonna definitely be filling up your gas tank on a pretty regular basis, especially if you are a commuter. And as far as cost of living, yes, in Gilbert, the vast majority of people who live in Gilbert actually don't work in Gilbert. Unless you work in retail or restaurants or those types of hospitality and service-based businesses, a lot of people who live in Gilbert will be commuting either to Phoenix or Scottsdale or Chandler. South Chandler, which is right next door to Gilbert, has a huge tech corridor. They call it the Price Corridor. We talked about that in a separate video. There's about 700 different companies in that area, including Intel with over 12,000 employees in Chandler. And like I said, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other companies, big and small. You got Northrop Grumman, you've got huge banking campuses, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, lots and lots of professional business services companies in Chandler. Of course, over in East Mesa, you got manufacturing. You got Boeing, which makes military helicopters, and a couple, several other companies associated with that kind of high-tech manufacturing. Basically, if you live in Gilbert, more often than not, you're going to be commuting somewhere else, and so you're going to want to take that into account time-wise and just financially. What it's going to cost to commute and drive. Again, if you have an idea of where you might be working if you're moving and relocating here, give us a call, shoot us an email, send that text message. We can help you kind of understand the pros and cons of different areas. Gilbert, while it might look small on the map, is actually quite big. It can take quite a bit of time to drive from the northern end to the southern end. On the northern end of Gilbert, you've got the 60 freeway going through the middle of Gilbert. The 202 loop cuts through there. And of course, you can go down to South Gilbert heading out towards Queen Creek. Depending on where you're commuting to, those three different areas of Gilbert can really affect your commute drastically. We can give you some insight and some ideas on where you might want to be, and maybe Gilbert isn't the right place. Maybe there's a neighborhood in Chandler or certain parts of Mesa or even Queen Creek that might actually work for you in that sense, but we won't know unless you give us a call, shoot us an email, or send us a text message, and we'll be able to help you out with that and talk you through your situation and different scenarios that would actually be helpful for that. All right, grocery costs. Like a lot of places throughout the United States, grocery costs have gone up, especially since the pandemic, surge of inflation, things like that. Here's the reality. Groceries are as low or as expensive as you want them to be. If you're, into all organic, grocery shopping and you want the best of the best of the best, yeah, you can calculate what your grocery budget's gonna be. There's Sprouts, you've got Whole Foods, you've got AJ's Fine Foods. There's all kinds of really high-end grocers that you can shop at where they have the best of the best. It's really fun to go there. But if you're thinking more moderate to budget level groceries, which depends on maybe the week, maybe you buy some of your stuff here and some of the stuff here, or you go to Costco, things like that. The scale is super wide. Basically, as a consumer buying food, buying groceries, you've got every choice imaginable when living in Gilbert. So as far as the cost of living is concerned for groceries, you can shop at Smart & Final, you can shop at a Whole Foods, you can shop at Trader Joe's. There's a lot of variety of different ideas and options. So what I would recommend is once you figure out where you want to live, understand where the grocery stores are nearby, and then you can start figuring out, where the best places to shop are for you and your lifestyle and your tastes and preferences. We'd be happy to give you some ideas and suggestions. But at the end of the day, living in an area like this where you just have so many options, it might actually feel overwhelming at first, especially if you're moving from an area where maybe you don't have that many options. Like where I lived previously to this in North Dakota, we had 3 grocery stores within within, a 35, 45 minute drive. So it was basically limited to Walmart, Albertsons, and a local version of something else. Anyways, but here you've literally got dozens of different options. You're gonna want to do that research. Like I said, once we know where you're gonna live, or if you're working from home, or if you're retired and don't work anymore, we'll be able to definitely point you in the right direction as far as like ideas for neighborhoods, that match what kind of lifestyle you're looking for. And of course, we can highlight the different shopping centers around you, and you can start doing that research to figure out, what's best for you and your family and your situation. All right, healthcare costs. Now, again, this kind of like groceries, this can vary greatly depending on who you are, what kind of insurance you have. For me personally, as a self-employed real estate professional, I don't have insurance provided by an employer. So me and my family, we go to the private market. We have to buy an insurance plan. For me, it's extremely expensive. I think I pay, you have to ask my wife to be sure, but I think we pay around $1,200 a month for a family of 4. We have a $15,000 deductible, and then like another, copay with an out-of-pocket maximum that heads up there. Anyway, long story short, last year we had a newborn baby and some other medical things. I think out of pocket, we spent probably $30,000 last year on healthcare. That's probably what I would say is the extreme level. If you work for one of the major companies in the area, whether you're an Intel employee or one of the major bankers or any other high-tech company, the vast majority of those employers provide health insurance to their employees, and you're probably going to be on a way lower level than that. It just depends on you, your company, your insurance. If you're retired, if you're a Medicare, Medicaid, there's a lot of different options as far as that's concerned. The good news is there's tons and tons and tons of clinics, hospitals, inpatient, outpatient, dentists, chiropractors. Every kind of medical service that you're looking for is right here locally. You don't even have to drive out to Phoenix. I mean, everything is right here in Gilbert and Chandler or Mesa. Basically, unless you have something very, very specific and rare, there's probably a medical provider within a 15, 20-minute drive maximum for just about anything that you can think of. I remember when we first moved here, my wife every once in a while needs to see a dermatologist for random moles that don't quite look right. We had to drive 3 hours each way from Williston, North Dakota to Bismarck for those appointments. Now there's like 3 or 4 different dermatologists that all accept our insurance within about a 15-minute drive, which total game changer. All right, taxes. Now that's one of the reasons that a lot of people love Arizona. They're escaping a high tax environment. Now, generally speaking, Arizona does have very low taxes compared to a lot of areas. That's why if you're comparing home prices, for example, from Texas versus Arizona, a lot of people from California are leaving California and either going here to Arizona or going to Texas. Now, if you're comparing a house, let's say a 3,500 square foot home with a 3-car garage, and you look at the Arizona house, it's say $700,000 or $800,000, $900,000, and then you see the Texas house, which is only $500,000. What people don't take into account is that property taxes in Texas are extremely high compared to what you'll find here in Arizona. So even though the sticker price, the asking price of houses is so different, when you add in the taxes or lack of taxes for Arizona, your monthly payment and what it actually costs to live there per month is definitely varies greatly. So again, like I mentioned earlier in this video, if you are kind of comparing your options, whether you're moving to Texas or you're moving to Arizona, you're gonna definitely want to talk to a mortgage professional in both areas, which we can recommend people in wherever you want, anywhere in the country. But that way you can actually compare and contrast realistic mortgage payments, realistic scenarios, realistic situations on what it actually looks like for you and your family when you're shopping and looking around. All right, so entertainment and lifestyle. Look, Gilbert is amazing. It's super family friendly. There's literally no end to the number of things that are going on. I feel like every day I'm reading about a new restaurant opening or a water park coming or Top Golf or whatever, fill in the blank. There's a million things to do. If you like to go shopping, you got the Santan Mall, which you can check out in our other video, the vlog tour of Gilbert. There's endless opportunities to be entertained, to go shopping, to spend your money. So depending on what kind of lifestyle you're looking for or what you like to do, keep in mind you have a huge variety of options right here in Gilbert for entertainment, fun, restaurants, whatever you like. If you want to go watch any more professional sports teams, here in the Phoenix Metro, we have every single professional sport has a local team. Whether you're talking the NASCAR track way out in West Phoenix, or you're talking about the Phoenix Suns or the Cardinals for NFL, it doesn't matter. We have every single major major sports franchise out there. There's a local team version of that. Usually you're going to want to go to Phoenix or a different part of the valley to go to those, or if you want to go to larger concerts or things like that, you'll have to commute, or drive 20, 30 minutes from Gilbert to a lot of those events. But the point is, what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? Kind of look around and, maybe your current lifestyle would be maintained when you move here as far as how much you go out, things like that. I will tell you from personal experience, when you first move here, especially if you're coming from an area that doesn't quite have as many things going on, you're definitely going to want to budget a little more just because it feels like you're on vacation for the first year and a half. And yeah, without really trying to, you might spend more than you thought you would. I will just say that from personal experience, it's really easy to go out to eat when you have so many options so close by. Now, a lot of places, I grew up in Washington State, and I can tell you that like a lot of things are set up differently here. Like when they developed these neighborhoods in these cities, you have the houses mixed in with retail and then businesses, and everything is nice. You know what I mean? There isn't like a bad area of Gilbert. People will ask me like, what's the best area of Gilbert? Well, I can tell you the best, the highest rated luxury home neighborhoods, things like that. But there isn't really such a thing as a bad area, in my opinion. It just doesn't really have that sort of a thing. I mean, there's maybe some other, pockets where you might have, more petty crime, things like that. But comparing that to a place like where I grew up in Washington State, you might have an area where here's the nice houses, and then you go over another 10, 15 minutes or 10 minutes, and here's an area where you have all the not so nice houses or freeways, and then you have your retail and your different centers. Everything's really segregated, and, as far as property types versus residential, commercial, and industrial, they're very split apart. Here, the residential and commercial are very mixed together in a very nice way. So a lot of people talk about the 10-minute bubble. Just about anywhere you live in Gilbert or anywhere in the Phoenix Metro for that matter, you can live within a 10-minute bubble. Your bank, your grocery stores, your movie theater, your shopping, pretty much everything that you do on a day-to-day basis is really within a 10-minute bubble anywhere you go and shop. Everyone's got their own Costco. It's really well laid out so that even though we have a large, metropolitan area, generally speaking, for most people, you're not going to have to travel or commute very far for all of the day-to-day services and things that you're looking for on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, there's a lot of nuances to the different cities and areas. If you are, considering Gilbert or anywhere in the greater Phoenix area as a future place to move and relocate to, again, give us a call, shoot us an email, send a text message. We'll be able to point you in the right direction depending on your work or lifestyle. Maybe you're not familiar with the kinds of lifestyles that are available here. I know coming from a lot of places, people aren't used to master plan communities. They don't really know what that means or what a country club actually looks like, or what, active adult communities are exactly. Maybe you've heard of it, but there's no such thing as a stupid question, guys. I promise you. If you're asking it or you're thinking it, so are other people. So comment below what your questions are, or if you don't want to comment below, just send us a text message and we'll comment for you and we'll leave your name out of it. But that way, if you've got those questions, I guarantee you other people do too, and we'll be able to answer those either in the comments below or on a future YouTube video to help people better understand what it's like to move and relocate here to Gilbert, Arizona. All right, so some quick final thoughts on what does it really cost to live in Gilbert, Arizona. So Gilbert is one of the nicer, more desirable areas in the entire Phoenix Metro. I'd say the only areas that are maybe even more expensive or quote unquote more desirable by a lot would be like Scottsdale or Paradise Valley, parts of Chandler for sure. Gilbert is definitely up there in cost of living pricing, but you get what you pay for, and that's true of just about anything in life. So when you're kind of considering, is Gilbert affordable? Is Gilbert for me? Obviously, a lot of people want to live in Gilbert. Not everybody can unfortunately afford Gilbert, but as experts on the entire Phoenix area, we have a team of agents who specialize in different parts of the Phoenix Metro. So if Gilbert is where you're looking for, absolutely, we'd love to help you move, relocate, answer your questions, help you understand where in Gilbert is the best spot for you. If Gilbert maybe isn't right for you, we can definitely show you some different areas where you can get more bang for your buck, where you can stretch that dollar further. There's definitely no one size fits all to this entire area. In another video, we talked about Queen Creek. It gives a kind of an overview tour of Queen Creek. You might want to check out that video as well. It's like Gilbert, but an extension of it. It's a little bit further away from the freeway. You get a little bit more bang for your buck. We'll stretch that dollar a little further. If you want new construction, tons and tons and tons of options for new construction heading out towards Queen Creek. Gilbert, as it grows, is starting to become more and more built out. There is still a lot of new construction options. Give us a call, shoot us an email, send a text message. We'd love to help you guys learn more about what's going on. We can jump on a Zoom call. We could share a Google map of the area and kind of walk you through the pros and cons of different areas areas as it relates specifically to you, your situation, and what your goals are. All right, guys, so I hope this video has been helpful to just kind of broadly understand Gilbert and what it actually costs to live here. I don't want to scare anybody away, but like the quality of life here is super high, but along with that comes slightly higher than average or even significantly higher than average cost of living. But we won't know exactly how that applies to you and your situation unless you actually reach out to us. Give us a call, shoot us a text message, send an email. Days, nights, weekends, we've got your back when moving here to Gilbert and the greater Phoenix area. And until we do the next video, guys, catch you on the next one.